Hey everyone, welcome back to Scoop of the Crispy. Mike here bringing you my final thoughts slash review of Bravely Second. So I just finished Bravely Second. Great game, and just as I've told you before, I love Bravely Default. Check that playthrough out on my channel as well. Now it's a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not grow up on Japanese RPGs. Did I? Trying to think. Maybe I did. Maybe it was middle school or high school where I really got into turn-based Japanese RPG, Final Fantasy, if you will. Final Fantasy V was my first real experience in learning open world, or not open world, but big world storytelling. And you know, through the years, they've fallen away from that format. Games have become action, like first-person shooters, all sorts of games have become fighting, and not fighting. What am I saying? They've become like action, twitch movement, quick. You know, it seems like strategy's kind of taken and thrown out, and that's kind of what they did with RPGs. It's like, oh, just ADD attack as fast as you can, blah, blah, blah. Even Final Fantasy's starting to get that way. Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 15 to a degree. And so when Bravely Default came out, and it's like, oh, it hails back to the old school RPGs. It has an old school feel to it. And I played it, and like I said, check out my playthrough. It's great. I loved that game. It was great. The way that it... like the brave and default way to attack and all that stuff was great. Being able to change your random battles, all that stuff was fantastic. And after playing it, you know, it was great, and I'm like, I want more. I want more of the same. And that's why if you check my Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles, I loved Xenoblade Chronicles, but then Xenoblade Chronicles X totally took a completely different route, and it was from linear story-based to open-world gameplay-based. And I mean, that's okay. It's whatever somebody's preference is. But mine is, you know, like Bravely Default, Bravely Second, perfect. I love the way Bravely Second it was literally a sequel. It continues on with Bravely Default, and it kind of adds to it. And honestly, like, some people will complain and be like, but it didn't innovate enough. It was too similar. Great, you know what? Fantastic. Keep it similar. Keep it the same. I love it. It was great. Let me adjust my random encounters, which I don't think I ever did in my entire playthrough. 52 hours. I never turned off the random battles because it was great. And you know, you have the different difficulties you can adjust. You have what was the other thing? You could adjust the random battles, and you can adjust... Was it the No. Oh, it was the repeating. So that was great. You can... check... So, I think in Bravely Default, you could just pick to repeat what you had previously done. Whereas in Bravely Second, you can pick the 3 latest attacks that you have, like, your repeats. You can save up to 3 different list of repeats that you want people to do, and that's great. I didn't really use that too much. And you can save, 10 different formations of your jobs? That was fantastic. That's awesome. Did I use it? No. Because what I did is I kind of kept my people similar, and I think, especially with these kind of job games, what you're supposed to do is say, you know what, I'm going to have my army of magic users, so when we go up against somebody who's good against physical attacks but bad against magic, I'm going to have my magic group, and we're going to attack. But what I did is I kind of kept each person their own thing. I kept you as my super magic user. I kept Magnolia and Tiz as my powerhouses, and Edea was kind of my magic user, but kind of physical as well. So a little bit of both. So kind of mixing that up. But yeah, and I like the different difficulties because, you know, if you want a crazy hard challenge, great. You know, I played a little easier where it just You can enjoy the story, and you know, it was never frustrating. It was just fun. I could experiment with the jobs, I could experiment with all the different abilities, and I think that's more fun than like ripping my hair out because I didn't do one right thing and so I died. Ugh. Ugh. But the autosave on this saved my behind many a times, because like I'll go in and they'll destroy me. I'm like, wait, crap, good, it saved. Now I'm gonna go back and play some old school RPGs, Final Fantasy, and I'm gonna get a little nervous, not gonna lie, because I'm getting so used to this autosave. It's great. I mean, I loved it. It's fantastic. What else? Graphical wise, I mean, what can you do? It's a 3DS game. I mean, you're kind of limited on your abilities to be able to, you know, do graphics. And I was thinking about it. I thought, you know, you have your Final Fantasy 15s, you have your crazy big, epic games, not even RPGs, but just, you know, Uncharted came out, whatever, where it's just these big set pieces, big explosions, big. And in this game, you know, you have a big, like, an explosion, and it's just kind of like this little thing. And I thought about it. I was like, you know, this is kind of like reading a book. It's kind of like an interactive book, like pop-up book, what have you, where that's these kind of games. They're not the big, epic production value, crazy graphics. They're simple. They're just like an interactive story that you're interacting with, which would make sense, where, you know, in my mind, and that's what made the old school Final Fantasy so good. You're dealing with little sprites, but in your mind, you're seeing these big, crazy, epic things. And that's exactly like Bravely Second, Bravely Default. You're seeing, you know, these towns that are like color water shapes, and they're not, you know, they're not HD, they're not 4K, they're not 1080p. They're just on this small little crappy screen, and, you know, blown up, it looks even worse. But these towns look so pretty, and in 3D, looks even better, looks amazing. And it's just that art style and that visual aesthetics that you don't need the big, crazy, super fancy, because you're looking at it, and in your mind, you're saying, you know what? I see this place, and I imagine it, and it doesn't have to be crazy 1080p, it doesn't have to be crazy HD graphics, because not everything is graphics. I'm making the graphics better in my mind. How many times have you gone back to a game and been like, wait, that's what it looks like? This looks like crap. Because in our minds, we're like, but it looked so much better in my mind. What's going on? Because we remember the gameplay, remember how fun it was. We don't remember the jaggedy, crappy, like, oh, my hand doesn't have any fingers. Did they have fingers in this game? Kind of. They kind of did. But like jaggedy fingers. And yeah. But I mean, if you like Japanese RPGs, if you like Final Fantasy, I mean, you're not even wondering about that. Oh, here, let me do this. There, we'll do that. Do that thing. But yeah. So you don't even have to ask if you like turn-based Japanese RPGs. I don't really do tactical or strategy, and so this is the kind of like turn-based, y'all line up, which makes no sense. Why would you line up and both take turns hitting each other? But it's like a chess game. You're taking turns, you're strategizing, you're figuring out your plan, you're attacking. All that good stuff. Airship Rub-a-Dub, that was great. You know, getting the airship is always awesome. And I liked, you know, just like I said, old school. You get in a small boat, you can only access certain parts, get in a bigger thing, more parts, bigger thing, all parts. It's old school Japanese RPG goodness at its best. So if that's up your sleeve, and changing jobs was great. I did like the new jobs. There were some, I don't gravitate towards blue magic, and so I never really used Minette or the Catmancer all that much, just because not really my cup of tea. But there's so many varieties. I love the new job classes. I loved the way the variety in them. There is one nitpicky thing that they kind of helped this game, but it's still, you know, okay, so here's the thing. And I mean, I get it. I understand why they don't do it, but when you change into jobs, the jobs are really distracting when you have a giant hat in the way of everybody. And it would be fine, like Final Fantasy V is great, or other Final Fantasies where you change the costume and the sprite changes, you know, but it's the person wearing a different outfit. You know what? Whatever. In this one, unfortunately, and kind of Bravely Default, they put on the costume, and it's way too over the top, and so you have, like, a pirate, and a ninja, and, what was the other one? Catmancer, where they look so silly, and they look so funny, that I'm like, I'm watching the cutscene, and, I mean, obviously you don't take it seriously, it's a Japanese RPG, what can you do? But just make them cooler, like, just, it's so distracting to have a giant hat, and to be like, you're looking at this giant hat in the way of everybody, and it's like, heck, give him a smaller hat, I don't care, but it's like, it was just too big and frilly and too crazy, and they fixed that with the costumes, but here's a good idea, which I understand why they don't do it, because it would get super confusing, but let me pick my costume, let me pick the job, and then what I want them to look like, so pick the costume of the job for a different job. And I know they'll be like, no, that's way too confusing, because if you're a pirate, but then you pick the ninja job, and then you think you're a ninja, but you're a pirate. And I get that, I understand, but make it a costume. Make it a costume and say, you know what? We know that you're this, add it as a costume, or whatever. And the costumes are way too expensive. Come on, $1 million, million pig for costumes, and I still want to go back and get them just because they were so cool. I love those new costumes. They're so cool. It's a great change of pace to be like, hey, they don't have to look like a giant pirate with a big thing. And at first it's fun, you know, you're wearing a new job, but then after a while you're like, you know what? This is not, or even give me the option to not use the job, just use the freelancer job, whatever. So, I don't know, just small nitpicky things, not that big of a deal, who cares? Voice acting was okay, it was fun, you know. They're kind of limited in the way they were able to talk, you know, and it's similar to Bravely Second where, and like I said, going back to the whole old school, where back in the day, there's little sprites standing next to each other, and now they've upgraded it to say, you know what, now we have just models standing in front of each other with a background, and I get it, it's simple, it's cool, and they did add new camera views, camera angles, and different things to it, so there was updated that way. So, you know what, I'm fine, you know, bring out a part 3, and you don't have to update it all that much, you know, we don't need to innovate, just more old school goodness, just bring it on, you know, and if you like that kind of stuff, go ahead and try it out, and if not, if you're not familiar with it, if you don't know what exactly I'm talking about, try it out, you know, try out Bravely Second, try out Bravely Default, see if it's your cup of tea, I know it will be, just kidding, my friend, sadly, it's not his. And so it makes me kind of sad. Oh, and here's the movie playing. Again, they showed that, 3 times during the game. But yeah, like, my friend is more of a first-person shooter, team-based shooter, whatever. But, you know, he doesn't really do turn-based JRPGs. That's fine. But, you know, I would recommend, try it out, see if it's your thing, and give it a go. And if you like stories and games, if you like all that stuff, then try it out. And if you have any questions or comments about this game, leave them below and let me know. And I can answer them in the order in which they are received. Or in whichever order I get to them at. So that's going to do it for Bravely Second. We're done. Quite an adventure, quite a journey. I enjoyed it. I knew I would. And I know you will if you like these kind of games. So check it out. Go ahead and check out all the other videos on my channel. And follow me on Twitter at ScoopofCrispy. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this playthrough. If not, go back and if you're just watching this video, go back and watch it. It's great. If you need any help, check out my videos. They'll help you get through certain parts as well. So yeah, so like I said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you around.